Thank you for joining us today for our 2014 Secrets to Success webinar series, our second 30-minute no-cost webinar this year. Today's topic is How to Own Your Calendar, presented by Joe Simon of Great to Greatest Life Coaching. My name is Ryan Kaus, and I will be your host today. I direct the Wisconsin Small Business Development Center at UW Green Bay. The Wisconsin Small Business Development Center, or SBDC, at UW Green Bay is part of a statewide network of SBDCs working with small business owners and executives to facilitate growth and improvement within their businesses and successful new companies. Through no-cost business consulting and low-cost entrepreneurial education, SBDC experts serve as your local business resource. The Wisconsin SBDC is funded in part through a cooperative agreement with the U.S. Small Business Administration, or SBA. Our website is www.uwgb.edu/SBDC. Also joining us today is Michael Wentworth from TMR Associates. You will hear him at the end of our webinar taking questions. In June, he presented how to improve cold calling efficiency and results, and next month he will present how to find and engage new customers. His June webinar, as well as all of our past webinars, are posted on YouTube and are located on our SBDC website under Past Webinars. Our 2014 Secrets to Success webinar series is designed to help small business owners and executives increase their effectiveness and thus their financial success. At the conclusion of today's webinar, we will provide the upcoming webinar topics, and we encourage you to consider registering for those on our website. I would like to thank our partner in these Secrets to Success webinars, First Business. We thank them for their continued success and dedication in working with small businesses. During the webinar, we invite you to ask questions at any time. Please use the menu at the right of your screen in the section indicated within the red circle. You may type your question there and press Enter to submit it. We will also take questions at the end for a few minutes. And now, I am pleased to turn it over to our expert presenter this month, Joe Simon of Great to Greatest. Joe?
Well, good morning, everyone. I appreciate everyone tuning in. I know we all have busy lives, and it's kind of ironic today we're here to talk about that. We're here talking about your most important asset as far as the game plan for today is concerned, and that is your time. You know, we all start out with the same amount of time, but everybody doesn't value it the same way. And what I want to do right away this morning is, if you get out a piece of paper, we're going to take a quick quiz. So don't worry about writing down the question, but what I'm interested in is having you write down what your answer is. And let's take maybe 10 to 15 seconds per question to figure out what your answer is. So let's get started. Here's the first question for you. What are the first words you like hearing the first thing in the morning? Take a few seconds just to jot those down, those very first words you wish you heard every morning. Secondly, I feel energized when I eat, drink, or possibly do something. What is that? What do you feel energized eating, drinking, or doing? Thirdly, your relationships. Who do you like to be around personally or in business or with your family? People that really bring you up. Number 4, my favorite color or your favorite color, texture, sound, or smell. What are those things? 5, here's a hard one. I laugh really hard when. When do you laugh really hard? Think of that last time you laughed so hard you cried. I believe we're on number 6. I want to spend my days working on these 3 things. What do you want to spend your time doing? The key 3 things you see yourself spending time on. Number 7, my life will not be complete unless I what? 8, if I had just 6 months to live, I would what? 9, I want my kids, spouse, friend, business to remember me for. What do you want to be remembered for? Okay, 3 more. Here we go. I am passionate about. What are you passionate about? Here's another one. I am compassionate towards. And the last one. What's your most valuable hour of the work week? What's your most valuable hour of the work week? So we're done. Maybe it's been a while since some of you have taken something like that before. It's a little focus as we step forward and look at your greatest asset, the 86,400 seconds that you have in your day. Let's go to the first PowerPoint here, and it's talking about calendar control. And what I really want you to picture is this, something that's kind of interesting to me. Actually, it's the what if. Where are you spending your time? And the reason we're talking so much about time today is I coach and talk to a lot of great people with proven track records that many of them tell me if I could just get a hold of my calendar, I think life would be a lot better for me. I'm always being pulled in one direction and feel I need to spend more time in the other direction. I wish there were more hours in the day. And I guess the what if question here is, what if we could multiply your time? Of course, that's impossible. But the other alternative to that is making sure that you're investing your time wisely. Some information I came across in preparation for our talk today is this study that was done by eMarketer.com back in August of last year, and it says adults in the United States spend more than 5 hours each day on non-voice mobile activities, including internet use on phones and tablets, about 4.5 hours watching television. The study went on to say it looked at a variety of sources, including academic publications, audience measurement outlets, and the average American is spending almost an hour more on his or her phone in the last year compared to 2012, according to the report. The most significant growth area is on the mobile connectivity. Adults will spend an average of 2 hours and 21 minutes per day on non-voicemail mobile activities, including mobile internet usage on phone and tablet, longer than they will spend on online or desktop, laptop computers, and nearly an hour more than they spent on the mobile in 2012. Here's kind of a tidbit that goes along with that. Many of us now are linked into this thing called, this entertainment app called Netflix. Netflix gained 630,000 subscribers in the U.S. alone in just 3 months last year, bringing the online television movie site to over 29 million U.S. subscribers. So what's an interesting note to that is we're watching movies, we're being entertained, and we're connecting with television-type sources differently than ever before, and those numbers show that. Let's go to the next slide under investors. And this is what I would say is the majority problem. The majority is or are great spenders and poor investors when it comes to time. And we know that as Americans, we're proud of our consuming. We are the world's greatest consumers. We're very good at spending our time, but even the great ones, many of you tuning in today, follow your calendar, have connectivity all over the place, but you're not as great at investing your time as you could be. So what we're looking for today is how to become a great investor, great at valuing the assets at hand and then growing them. That's the key. Let me repeat that. Great at valuing the assets at hand, that's 86,400 seconds in your day, and then growing them. So here's a question. Could a minor change in your life make a major change in your effectiveness? Could a minor change in your life make a major change in your effectiveness? Time is where this begins. Let's go to the next slide where we see own it. Here's the math behind the calendar. You know, the statistics show today, actuaries have figured this out, and years ago our world was based on an actuarial life expectancy table that went back to 1956. And just in the last 5 to 10 years, we've kind of caught up with that, and the world now looks at life expectancy and today's formulas rather than something back in 1956. And here are the facts. Women are living to the age on an average of 81 years old, and men are living on an average to the age of 76 years old. Let me tell you a quick story. Where I became really a valuer of my time was at my dad's deathbed. My dad lived to be about 74 years old, and the day he died, I walked in 4 minutes after he died, and I was standing at his deathbed looking at him, and I had never been that close to someone that was that close in my life that was now dead. His body was there, but I knew where his soul was. And here's the story. You know, maybe you're someone who's had this happen before, where you've had the story of your life flash before your eyes. Imagine that. That's a lifetime story before your eyes in about 30 seconds. And that's what took place in those moments standing at my dad's deathbed, which is now over 10 years ago, which really is the seed to my coaching plan, Go Great to Greatest today, the value of time. That is my inheritance. That is the basis, the foundation, which all of my coaching thoughts and the people that I interact with is based on today. And what has come from that, the good stuff that has been pressed out of that and really bottled, and the effectiveness of that, my inheritance is this thing we're talking about today, the value of time, 86,400. And where that came from was I was standing there looking at my dad, and I realized a 74-year-old man, and it was not years, it was days. And so if you look at the life expectancy on that PowerPoint we're looking at right now, and a man is going to live on an average today to about 76 years old, what I see is 27,740 days. And when I see 81 years for a woman to live, what I see is 29,565 days. Now, I'm not trying to impress you with my math. In fact, it's my weakest subject. But the point to the discussion here today is, do you value your life like that? Do you realize the 86.4 that you're blessed with, that many of it has been used up already at this point today? You can't bank it up. You can't get credit on it. You can't carry it forward for tomorrow because today's not turning out to be a good one. This is what we all have. This is what it is. How are we going to use it? There's no such thing as tomorrow. 86.4 doesn't carry over to tomorrow. We get a whole new set of seconds tomorrow. So it's interesting when you look at it, when you do the math, and what comes to me and what I'm trying to compel to you today is time's value. And if we can build our calendar based on those little trinkets today, I think we've got a great thing to move forward with. So are you with me? Okay, let's go to the next slide. Here we're talking about prudent investors. And I believe there is such a thing as a perfect week. Now, what I find is that a lot of people don't understand and can't visualize what a perfect week is. You've never attempted it. Or maybe you're in the middle of one and then something comes along, derails it, and it doesn't turn out to be a complete perfect week. So I think back on a couple of the students that I have permission to talk about here today. One of them is a world record-setting ultra athlete, Lisa Smith-Batchen, who lives in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and she spends a lot of her time training in the Teton Mountains at 10,000 feet. Now, she set world records doing ultra marathons that your mind possibly couldn't imagine, and we're not going to get into the details of her life there today. But what I want to talk to you about in Lisa's case, which I think can help you, is how she visions what her perfect world record-setting run is going to look like as she's training at 10,000 feet, harnessed into a car tire behind her, running up a 45-degree mountain. She's imagining what the perfect race, or in this case for us today, the perfect calendar is going to look like. Do you do that? Do you set yourself aside on Sunday nights, kind of a pregame pep talk, and open your calendar and look at the week before you? I know there was a book written several years ago about Blue Mondays, and this was a term that a lot of the CEO level, CFO level, publicly traded company people were all tapping into and agreeing to. It goes back about 10, 11 years ago, and it was really talking about this fog that seems to move in on people like this. I've had it, I don't know, maybe you've had it too, where around 7 or 8 o'clock at night when the things calm down and you start to think about what your week looks like, it's kind of daunting. It might even be a little bit overwhelming. And so the best thing is you get yourself engaged in a book or a movie you're watching, or go to bed early and sleep on it. And before you know it, there's 5 o'clock Monday morning facing you in the mirror. So what my challenge to you here is, get a pregame game plan together. Spend a good 45 minutes to an hour sitting before your calendar on Sunday night, planning out and imagining what your week's going to look like. Get control of your calendar rather than stepping into it on Monday morning when it's ready to get control of you. That's how Lisa does that. If there's any musicians in the audience, this is another example I can give you. A musician rehearses a song, each note, each phrase, until it becomes a fluent song. Approach your calendar like a musician. Look at each hour, each section of each day, and how that day is going to be orchestrated to, at the end of that 5 or 6 or 7 day, however you look at your calendar, it's a beautifully orchestrated, fluent song. So let's go to the next PowerPoint where it talks about calendar control. Picture this. Inc. magazine did a business survey a couple of years ago, and it talked about the most valuable hour of the week. From their survey, they talked to 25,000 of their business subscribers, and what they determined from the short survey was that Tuesday mornings from 9 to 10 a.m. was considered the most valuable hour. They said it's the most valuable hour to conduct an interview, the most valuable hour to be the interviewee, the most valuable hour to be working on the most crucial thing for your week. And what I like to carry it forward on is, it's the most valuable hour for you to connect with your spouse or your child or your girlfriend or boyfriend. You can do that. You can control that hour of your week. That's part of calendar control. The most valuable hour of the week, according to Inc. magazine survey, was Tuesday from 9 to 10 a.m. What are you doing with yours? What did you do with yours this morning? What are you going to do with yours next Tuesday morning? And here are the hard questions. So if you don't know what you did with yours, why don't you know? If you don't feel you can control that hour of the week, why not? And let me even put a side note to that. Well, maybe you're sitting there going, well, I wish I had that kind of flexibility. My job, my business My life isn't like that. I have people that control almost every hour of my week. Well, this is a suggestion I'd like to make to you. How about taking this forward and talking to your boss and saying, hey, I heard this guy the other day, and did you realize that Tuesdays from 9 to 10 are the most valuable hour on an average of 25,000 executives taking the survey of the week? And I have a suggestion, boss. What I'd like to do is spend some crucial time doing this rather than that because of these crucial 60 minutes. I think that would be a very compelling discussion to have and possibly a tempo setter for your entire organization if they're not tuned into this already. Also, it's great for your marriage and your most important relationships. So, possibly you're somebody sitting there going, well, my life just isn't going to work that way on Tuesdays. Well, then what I'm going to throw at you is this. When is your most valuable hour of the week? If it's not Tuesday between 9 and 10 a.m., when is it? You know that. And how are you owning it? How are you blocking that out? How are you going into that calendar example that we look at and start blocking things out? We've all seen these types of calendars before, and what I like to do is get in on those calendars and block out some crucial time. For example, from 7 to about 9:30 on Monday morning is my tune-in time. That's when I laser focus, and we'll talk more about that phrase in a minute, laser focus. But that's setting the tone for what I'm trying to accomplish for the entire week. And if I'm listening to what I'm preaching, what I'm trying to do is get into my game plan and really start to own that 9 to 10 o'clock on Tuesday and make sure that it hasn't been pushed out. And that I'm saving some extra hours towards the end of the week for those things that just happened that force my calendar to be moved and pushed until it feels like I'm running out of time. So there's ways and there's little tricks or techniques, but I try to start that all out first thing on Monday mornings, not to forget about my Tuesday night where I kind of gather for now it's about a 40-minute time period where I just reflect and look and jot some things down before I hit the road on on Monday morning. What I like to do is say I like to stake out time, because what I found in myself and what I've found as I coach great ones is repetition. You can't go wrong with repetition. Looking for those valuable moments, those valuable time, building time into wander around, management by wandering around if you manage people, building in time if you're a service-oriented person to pop in on people and just say hi and just touch base with how they're doing. You know, that's a valuable tool to use in life, and a lot of people get so wrapped up in the day-to-day that there's just no more time for the high touch. There's a lot of high tech, but there isn't a lot of high touch going on. One of the other things I want to talk about quickly is we talked about repetition. Well, what I'm looking for also in owning my calendar and looking at that calendar is tendencies. I'm looking for my tendencies in my day and in my week. So, for example, you're not going to find me doing a lot of heavy, detailed mental work from 3 to 5 o'clock on a Wednesday. That just doesn't work for me. I'm not at my sharpest when I have to do that kind of work. It's really not good. However, you will find me at 6:30 or 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock in the morning doing that kind of work any day of the week. I'm a morning person. There's a lot that I can accomplish in a short period of time because I'm just on during that period of time. So let's go to the next slide here. This is the last of two. Moving quickly now as we start to wind things up. The greatest primary ingredient, and here's what Russell Wilson, the Super Bowl winning quarterback and a former Wisconsin Badger quarterback, has to say about that. You know, it's all in doing that extra and that preparation and doing what others aren't doing. We've heard this different ways before, but I thought it was timely that this is from the mind of the Super Bowl winning quarterback from just a few weeks ago. Valuing and owning your time. Let me remind you, not everybody is doing this. Not everybody is on this call today you are the choir that I'm singing to today because you realize the importance of this ingredient. So to just remind you, the pregame, that's the Sunday night, laser focusing. Itemizing your to-do list should become a to-done list. So not setting yourself up for a loss, but creating a list that you can follow and go through and accomplish and not overwhelm yourself with. Set some plateaus. That's crucial. Kind of gauge yourself as you're making progress and follow your progress. That is necessary. It's important as a marathon runner that I know at the next 5-mile mark I'm going to have a little aid station where I can get some goo, I can get a Cliff Bar, I can get some water or Gatorade, maybe walk for a little bit. It's important for me to know mentally that I can finish the race, but I need some breaks from time to time. You don't have to drive yourself that hard. Let's go to the last slide here, and here's the how-to, the 4 keys. How do you own your calendar? This is about managed or unmanaged. Which one are you? Are you managing your calendar, or are you going without management, unmanaged? So just looking at our time, I think we're right on here. I'd love to send you some information if you're looking for more on what a laser focus sheet would look like. I would be more than happy, and I'd ask Ryan about this beforehand. I've got a PDF of my workbook called Great to Greatest, which if you're interested, we can connect and I can email that to you. The best way to connect with me is joe.simon@great2greatest.com, and just send me an email, and I'll be more than happy to send you more support material for your toolbox on your way to your greatest.
Hey, Joe, great work. Listen, we've got a couple of quick questions for you if you got a minute.
You bet.
One of the things that seems to be a theme within the questions is this: how do you prevent other people from upsetting your plan?
That's called the book, Who Moved My Cheese? Well, first of all, the answer to that is a great, very quick story. I was doing a triathlon a few years ago, and this was the first one that I did with professionals. So I was an amateur, and there were professionals out there, and I was on the bike portion of it, which is the second leg of the triathlon, and I'm coming up, I don't know, it was 10 or 12 miles into the bike ride, and I could see on the side of the road one of the athletes sitting there, and his back tire was off, and as I went by, he was sobbing, he was crying, and it was one of the professionals. And what caught me was I thought he was hurt at first, and I asked him, he said, "No, I'm fine." And I found out later the gist to the story was he had a flat tire, and he was overwhelmed with it. And what I learned from that, Ryan, was, you know what, here's the answer to the calendar question. You know what, unexpected things are going to happen in your day or in your week. Some of them might feel like they're just earth-stopping, they're bad things. But what I learned from that is get ready for some bad things to happen in your day and relish it, embrace it, build some time in for it.
Got it. Now, the last question here, Joe, and I know we're kind of short on time, but the last question that is really a challenge is if you work for someone else and that person treats you like you're at his beck and call, how do you handle that?
Excellent question. I'm sure that there are a lot of people. We all have to answer to somebody. And I think the way I would approach your boss or multiple bosses is what I shared earlier, and that is I would ask them, I'd say, hey, I need 5 minutes. I learned something here. I really want to value my time because I realize that's the greatest asset I can give you each day I come here, and here are some thoughts on this. And get into what we talked about here today.
Got it. All right, Ryan, it's all yours.
Joe, thank you so much. Excellent information and something really valuable to put into practice right away. Our next webinar on March 18th, and we'll repeat that on March 20th for next month, is going to feature Michael Wentworth of TMR Associates in how to find and engage new customers. And you can register for that March webinar and all our upcoming webinars on our website at uwgb.edu/SBDC. I'd like to thank Jill Simon of Great to Greatest, Michael Wentworth of TMR Associates, and First Business. And thank you all for attending. Shortly, you will receive an email with a recording link to this webinar and registration links to our upcoming webinars. Please share it. Enjoy the rest of your day and take yourself from great to greatest. Thank you.